If you're a photographer like me and you live somewhere where it's cold, this may seem familiar, where the model says, "Wow, it's freaking cold outside," and you say, "Wow, it's freaking cold outside." So I live in Canada where it's notoriously cold in the wintertime, and it's cold 8 months out of the year almost, and I'm here to give you 5 tips for shooting in the winter. Tip number 1 should be on everybody's list, and that is heavily pre-planning your shoots beforehand. So you should be doing this basically during the summer or the winter anyways, but it's really good to do it during the winter. It all really depends on the amount of layers that a model has that you have time to shoot. You know, like if you're shooting a winter thing, which has a jacket and all that good stuff, it could be, 30-40 minutes. Lingerie, 15, 10, 5 minutes. Really, it depends on how cold it is and how much pain tolerance the model has to the cold. You should plan out your shots, you should let the model know what kind of shots you want, and you should have the right gear ready to go when you get to the spot. You don't want to have to keep switching lenses out and be like, oh, that doesn't work, and oh, this one doesn't work, or whatever, that doesn't work. It's just going to waste time. It's going to waste the model's time. It's going to get everybody cold, and you don't want that. You don't want cold. On the subject of layers, it's good to keep those layers on while you do your testing shots. You don't want to be fiddling around with settings and all that stuff while your model is getting cold, because you're like, oh, I needed to see what the person looked like in their outfit so I can do the thing. Just let them keep their jacket on until you have your settings generally figured out. Then fine tune it if you really need to. Tip number 3 is try to stay nice and warm during the shoot. You can bring a blanket. I keep a blanket in my car all the time. It's a Mario blanket. Lots of people have used it. I wash it because it gets used quite a lot. But you put it around somebody and it's like a little tent. It keeps the heat nice and inside places everywhere. Or if your car is just close by, you can pop the person or the model in the car and then have it running so that they stay nice and warm. If you don't have those 2 options, you have a building nearby, you can probably pop in real quick, warm up, plan your stuff. That's gonna help out you and the model to extend that time that you get to shoot. Another thing is hot hands. You can find those in the camping section of any big box store, so Walmart, Canadian Tire. They'll keep your hands nice and warm. Even if you're not shooting with a model, keeping those on you is going to be super key, because you'll be crawling down the snow sometimes and taking photos of animals, Who knows, man? Who knows what you do? I don't know what you do. This is just general tips for the winter. Tip number 4 is gear disassembly. This sounds a little strange because you're gonna have to pull all your gear out of your bag. Pull it out. Everything out of the bag, because you're coming from the warm area to a cold area and you're gonna risk condensation. So just pull it out, put it near something that's nice and warm, keep it all separated. Take the batteries out of your camera, take the SD cards out. Don't use them, don't charge them before maybe 10-15 minutes, so you can let it equalize with the temperature inside the room. You don't want to fry your gear, because the condensation will do that. This also applies vice versa when you're going from a cold to a warm area, and then you have to deal with it being even worse, because going from cold to hot is actually worse because of the amount of condensation. Now, I've done it where I've gone from a nice 15-degree room Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, and my camera is wet. This is it's bad. You want it to equalize first, so just don't use it before it equalizes in temperature, or else you're gonna risk frying your gear, and you don't want that to happen because it's expensive, and you don't want to risk thousands of dollars of camera gear. And lastly, this one may sound a bit obvious, but check the weather before you go outside. You don't want it to be too cold, too windy, too rainy, too snowy, just generally dangerous outside. You could slip, fall, get into an accident. You don't want that happening. You don't want to risk anybody's personal gear. You don't want to risk anybody's face. You don't want to risk your car. So just make sure that it's safe conditions for you to be going outside and doing a shoot. And that kind of leads into my little bonus tip: shoot in a studio. If you have a studio, that's pretty good. If you can rent a studio, I like to rent a Studio Bon Soleil, because they're great. I love them so much. If you can, go for it. You do a studio. But those are tips for shooting in the winter. If you like these tips and would like to hear more tips later on, which I'm going to make more tips videos, of course, then give this channel a sub, give it a like for this video, just share it around, tell your friends, hey, I made a tip video. Wow, that dude who shoots cosplay. which you can find at Nigel Murray Cost Photo or Nigel Murray Photo, which I'm pointing in places. I don't even know if I'm going to put overlays like here. So I'm going to try and fit them in my fingers. If you have any tips for the winter shoots, leave them down below. I'll read them, like them, reply to them. I'll even make a second video using those tips if you don't mind me doing that. Because that's easy, free content for me. That's pretty good. I like this. I don't know how to close out a video yet, so I'm going to keep saying that until I figure out a nice closing part for the video. Yeah, anyways. Goodbye. It's me, Nigel. This also applies vice versa when you're going from a warm area to a cold area. Did I say that? Yeah, warm area to a cold area. Cold area to a warm area.